Alrighty, Madam Chair, you're live. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Thea. Good morning to the Board of Commissioners and to the citizens of Douglas County. Welcome to our March 14th, 2022 work session. We're delighted that everyone was able to join us this morning, and so glad that our citizens are very much engaged. Before I start, I'd like to start off the roll call this morning. I'll start off with District 1 Commissioner Henry Mitchell III.
Present.
District 2 and Vice Chairman Kelly Robinson.
Present.
District 3 Commissioner Tarina Carpin.
Present.
District 4 Commissioner Ann Jones-Geiger.
Present.
Ramona Jackson-Jones, Chairman. Present. Board of Commissioners, we do have an established quorum this morning. Board of Commissioners, we're going to move right into our public comment. And Clerk, do we have anyone sign up who has signed up for comment this morning?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. We had Miss Ingrid Landis Davis sign up to speak this morning, and I believe I saw Miss Davis on the phone. So I just wanted to remind you, you will have 3 minutes to address the board. Once your 3 minutes are up, I will ask you to wrap up your comments. So Miss Davis, if you could restate your name and your subject matter for the record, and then you can begin.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Ingrid Landis Davis, 1670 Harvest Hill, Douglasville. I want to speak about the February 15th Board of Commission meeting and the issue brought up by 4th District Commissioner Ann Geiger. As a resident and property owner in the 4th District, I want to emphasize the importance of constituency communication. This is something lacking in the 4th, or at least that has been my experience. I used to receive a newsletter from Commissioner Geiger, but apparently I have been removed from that list after offering some feedback or of differing opinion from one of the articles in one of the newsletters. And the only reason I saw the most recent one is someone shared it with me. I was appalled to read in one of the articles that marketing and communications is not considered a profession or professional service to Commissioner Geiger. As a 30-year plus veteran of the profession with industry awards to prove it, I took exception to the notion, and I think the universities that offer degrees in marketing and communications and the students would do the same. Additionally, the firm that was being discussed in the February 15th meeting has done business with Douglas County for years, including previous administration, the previous administration that was led by Tom Worthen when the jail was built. But back to Commissioner Ann Jones-Geiger's newsletter, where she implied, without a scintilla of proof, that Commissioner Carthen and Robinson were committing acts of fraud or acting in a fraudulent manner. I think that was completely out of line, and I think she should offer an apology to the public and to them for the insult, or produce the proof that they did something untoward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ingrid Landis Davis. We appreciate you coming in. Certainly this matter will be taken under advisement. We appreciate your comments this morning. Clerk, do we have anyone else sign up for public comment?
Yes, ma'am. We did have Mr. Levon Dixon. I do not see him on the line, but I will reach out to see if he is on here. Mr. Dixon, are you on the line? Okay, is there any other citizens on the line that would like to speak this morning? Being none, Chairman, I turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Certainly for just the purposes of our citizens and regarding this newsletter. Attorney Coleman, I see you are on the line. If you could just unmute your mic and we've had some conversations about what is being allocated or alleged, should I say not allocated, but alleged. If you could just explain that everything was within order and there was nothing in terms of fraudulent that has occurred. Could you do that for me?
Sure. I'll give my opinion about it. The
in terms of the necessity of a public bid, the code does not require a bid for professional services. So I think that's, and it's a pretty clear language in the code that states that the provision regarding solicitation of bids does not apply to professional services. With respect to the policy that was passed by the commission earlier this year, it does provide a process, but it states very clearly that process could be waived by the commission if it's in the best interest of the county. And I think the fact that the discussion on the floor and the fact that the commissioners voted for it indicates that they believe it was in the best interest of the county to waive the requirement, and I think it would be based upon that deemed to be waived. And so I think based on those two analyses, the analyses of the code and what the code says and what the policy says, I think that the process did not violate the law. And I don't know if that's responsive to your question. I'm happy to respond more directly to anything else if you need me to do so.
No, it was perfect. Certainly, it provides peace for me, number one, and then also it gives our citizens an idea that we can continue to move on and do other things rather than allege things that are not correct. Because this administration won't be remembered for what we said, but we will be remembered for what we've done. So with that being said, thank you so much.
Madam Chair?
Madam Chair?
Yeah. I heard Commissioner Robinson first. Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I'd like to add, I'm sorry, Commissioner Robinson has the floor. I apologize.
Yeah, thank you. While I appreciate the First Amendment, and one's right to pretty much say what they want to say, there are consequences, the responses to. We as elected officials have a certain responsibility for our language. I understand how we may cater to our base. This is election time. But to the point that it's true or false is what the public looks for us to show truth. If our competence is not to the point where we can actually share the truth and argue a point without slander or shade or jade, that speaks to maybe it's time for us to go. But both better than that. You can't come up with an argument, a narrative that's accurate. Then maybe it's something. I just want to speak to one point regarding commissioners, which is clearly in the code. Anybody who's been here long enough know that any two commissioners can put anything on the agenda. Madam Chair has it by default. It's the chair and executive. Any two commissioners, district commissioners, can put anything on the agenda. Okay, because we didn't know that. Second, as it relates to professional service in this topic, it came through if I'm not mistaken, the Transportation Committee. It was fully vetted and sent on to the full board commissioners. In that work session, it was broke apart into two separate votes to put forth on the next day. And lastly, all commissioners here know that any one of us can pull anything off a consent agenda to be voted independently. I get the narrative. You gotta do your trolls and get them all worked up and make your point and stuff, but does it do us service? Can we do better than that? I mean, we should be intelligent enough to sort of argue points versus, sleight of hand. It just sort of insulted. And I get it. It's like, okay, come on. You're not more intelligent than that. You got to just drop, blood down there, put everybody to feed on and stuff. Oh my God. Versus some real points. Because it does hit back. I mean, for example, back in 2011, when, again, since we brought up the jail, this contract regarding the sprinkler system. And we talked about certain state commissioners and their family, right? And I didn't finish the story back on when we had 150th birthday, which is okay. So the board voted for this contract to be awarded to a certain commissioner's family. And then what happened? They come back after that and says, I didn't know anything about it. I want to disclose that I didn't know anything about it, right? So I just kind of knows everything about everything that's done. It cannot sit here and say it did not know. So let me finish. That was in February of 11. Two commissioners that are up right now that came in that time. Obviously, they're brand new. Contract get awarded to a family out the gate. Out the gate. But February all the way over to September, looking at the Board of Commissioners in that book, what's called Eric Johnson's Tweet Rust, that CPS, it says the Board of Commissioners had to leave that firm for incapacity to deliver. We had to fire them. My point is, where my money? Where my money? So you got a firm that's putting a sprinkler system in a jail, they cannot deliver. The Board of Commissioners in public record relieves them on the floor. My point is, where the money? All right, well, I just want to make that point. I got facts. We all do. Go look at our books. Again, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. Madam Chair, you floor.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Robinson.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Carter, you have the floor.
as far as my article in my newsletter, I don't remember accusing anyone. I said my concern was that two commissioners can approve or pass a contract that had not gone through the committee that was set up to oversee contracts. And when I asked Commissioner Carthen about it, she just said it was covered under professional services. I expressed my concern about that. I did not bring out other things that I could have brought out. I could have named more names, but I was very careful that I was not naming names. But I am concerned about how that contract was handled, and that contractor seems to get an awful lot, including right after the election in 2018. The first meeting, I believe. But anyway, as far as the jail is concerned, we were never involved. None of the commissioners were involved in the bidding process. My son, who worked for a sprinkler system as a worker, he is not he was never in the top echelon of the company. He's just a worker. He's a laborer. And when he mentioned that his company got that bid, I was as shocked as anybody. And that's why I filed a letter with the county immediately. And I talked with the county manager immediately because I didn't want anything to appear that there was anything illegal. I think that company ended up going bankrupt, if I'm not concerned, if memory serves me right. But when you start slinging mud, some of it sticks to yourself too. You need to look in the mirror. I never mentioned that two commissioners were doing anything illegal. I said I was concerned about it, was how it was handled, and I stand by that. I stand by that because sometimes the perception can be worse than the real thing. And as far as Miss Davis is concerned, I have 1,200 subscribers to my newsletter. I don't know it. I get the comments, I answer them or whatever, but I don't delete them because I think there needs to be an exchange of ideas. But I send it out once a month. Any citizen can contact me at my home computer through that newsletter at my website. They can contact me immediately and I will try to answer them. We have had some problems in the past as far as some of them not going out because of the number being sent out. We were sending out 50 at a time and we were getting some of them that did not go out. They kept saying we were sending too many out at one time, so we reduced it to 30, and we seem to have corrected that problem. But I don't delete people. I don't delete people unless the email bounces back and it says box closed. So you need to get your, and I would say, you can talk to anybody in District 4 and they'll say, I communicate better than anybody else. So I don't understand where Ms. Davis is coming from. But with that, I yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Guido. Board of Commissioners, certainly as we work towards separating our emotions from our responsibilities, I ask all of us, if we have any concerns about anything that's taking place, that's the purpose of our attorney, Coleman. He can tell us what's correct and what's wrong, especially if it's something that you think is fraudulent or something of that on that caliber. So I encourage us to utilize our attorney Coleman. He's amazing. We had a conversation. He put me at peace, and I moved on. So if you could do that before you send your newsletters, please. I encourage all of us to do so. With that being said, I'm going to
ma'am, just one remark.
Commissioner Guido.
I don't ask the other commissioners what they put out to their taxpayers, and as long as I am not naming names as far as illegal things, I don't think you can tell me what to put in my newsletter. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Guido, respectfully, I'm not telling you what to put in your newsletter. I just said if you have some questions regarding something that you're not sure about, and I included myself as well in the dialogue, and I said if you're uncomfortable with the subject matter, certainly that's the purpose of our attorney. But again, that is just a suggestion and not an order, so please understand that. Vice Chairman, we're going to take you and then we're going to move on.
All right. Yeah, again, it gets into the First Amendment. We know what we're doing. We don't have to believe this, right? In other words, we know the difference between right and wrong. We're grown-ups. We've been here long enough. And so I want you to feel comfortable, Madam Chair. No, we know what we're doing. We can act all innocent and try to hide behind the church, all self-righteous. No. We know when we want to innuendo, and it's intentional, right? And so we walk the line. You walk the line. It's that First Amendment. And I get it. You say what you want to say. That was my opening statement, right? But then there's impact. You see it in Congress. You see it everywhere else. Like, okay, keep running your First Amendment. Yes, you can, but there is consequences. And that's all I want to say. But you have to acknowledge the First Amendment. That's what I'm saying. Let this go. We can't force this down a certain path. We let everybody speak, and I say we move on. I yield. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. We're going to move on. Board of Commissioners, I encourage you tomorrow, if you would just before tomorrow, take a look at the minutes and be prepared to approve accordingly. We have a presentation, Board of Commissioners, this morning, and it's regarding our landscaping project along I-20. Certainly, I'm just so excited that Darrell Ray is here this morning to provide you with a presentation. But we had some extensive conversations regarding this landscaping. And at first, initially, I was planning on taking the Board of Commissioners on a tour along the I-20, but it really didn't make a lot of sense if we were going 60 miles an hour for you to have an opportunity to view what has been done. So with that being said, I did speak with Mr. Ray and ask, is there any way we could utilize a drone so he could pull the landscaping projects closer to our eyes and vision to allow us to view them this morning? And I believe he's done that. And with no further ado, Mr. Ray, you have the floor, and so excited that you're here to discuss something positive this morning on our landscaping project. You have the floor.
Good morning, Daryl Ray with HRC here in downtown Douglasville. I appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation with you guys and show you what we have done over the past several months to do this, I guess, beautification project along I-20. Hopefully everybody has come through the corridor, if you will, and have noticed the work that was going on and seeing what we've got. Kind of excited right now, also in that, it's the time of year that things start to come back to life, per se, in the landscape. And I know right now the red buds are just beginning to bloom, which will be the trees with purple flowers on them. So as you come up and down the corridor, you'll notice on several of the exits we have these red bud trees. Now, I'm not sure who named them red buds since they have a purple flower, but I'm thinking maybe the person that named them was potentially colorblind. But we'll notice that. And then through the rest of the spring season, we'll see things green up as we go on into summer. And, part of our design thoughts on all of this was to create things of interest throughout the year. So you should see a landscape as a living item. So you should see all of this growing, and hopefully over the next few years, it will, really be able to show out. So I do have a video here that I thought we could let it run through real quick, and then we can go from there. All right, so that gives you a quick overview of what we did. And I was going to also add in here, conceptually, basically coming down this corridor, if you're coming from the city, Thornton Road is a pretty big impact of entering Douglas County. So, and this is more, I would say, of our urban side. It is closer to Atlanta. And, so I think it's got a pretty good impact here. Coming from the west, you know, it's a more rural setting as you come in from that side of the county. And, you know, I think we kind of illustrate that with our plantings and the signage. And as you come through Post Road, we did a large tree planting there that I think over the years, as those trees mature at Post Road, will create a really nice effect there also of still a rural type setting with a forested tree planting there. Some of the things that we know that are important to keep this project, you know, well maintained is we're going to have to make sure that we have a good maintenance program put together for these areas, which will make all the difference as these landscapes mature here also. So I know I had submitted a maintenance program to go along with helping take care of this landscape throughout the years as it does mature. I know at the Lee Road interchange there, we wanted to play off of the Sweetwater Creek. And as this landscape matures, I think what we'll see is we have some plants that will basically imitate maybe a stream or creek system working through the taller plants so it will kind of mimic the Sweetwater Creek, because I know that the Sweetwater Creek State Park is a big draw for the county. They say it's the most visited state park in the state of Georgia. So, you know, hopefully this exit and this landscape design and as it grows in the future will help emulate that and draw people's attention even more to the state park there we have at Sweetwater. So with that, we can let this the video continue to move forward, but I'd like to open it up to you guys if you have any questions or anything that you would like to discuss with me while we have this going.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ray. Board of Commissioners, do we have any questions for Mr. Ray regarding what's been done thus far? We know that the plants are not mature yet, but they're coming. So you certainly expressed a need for maintenance, and it needs to be ongoing. It's like our own personal yards. We have to maintain it, and we do have something in place. And I know Director Valentine is on the line, and he may be able to chime in and speak to that. But I certainly want to yield the floor to the board to see if they have any questions. Vice Chairman Roberts. I saw Vice Chairman Roberts' hand, but what y'all want me to do is to. Okay, you have the floor, Madam Coffey.
Thank you. So, good morning, Mr. Ray. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for asking.
My question, of course, for me is always appropriations. What would the overall cost be to maintain this so that we can, you know, budget it in accordingly? I know now it's not as much to maintain it, but as it starts to grow and fill in and become the landscaping concept that you've drawn for us, what will it take? Will it take more over time? And what's the best way for us to manage this? Would this be so it wouldn't be so much of a burden on our existing staff? Would this be something that you as a professional recommend that we put out for bid for services to maintain this? So again, cost and then maintenance on it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So on the maintenance wise, you know, I know we had some when we first started the project that we had some I guess some rough estimates that we used moving forward. I guess when the board was deciding if wanted to take this on, I don't have those numbers directly in front of me. I do believe that when we bid this for the installation, that part of the bid also included, you know, additional fees for maintaining this throughout the year. And that would have been, you know, with the professional landscape contractors and maintenance people. So I'd have to look back at those proposals and those numbers that we were given by, I think, 2 or 3 different contractors to give us that to give us those numbers. So cost-wise, there, I don't have that at my fingertip to give you that today. And tell me, what was your second question?
Well, it was again appropriation
Okay,
cost. So,
right.
so you're saying that within the scope of the bid, you included what it would cost for us to maintain them, and you got those quotes from a couple of professional landscaping maintenance companies. So
Yes,
that you
ma'am.
could
Yes, ma'am. That
evaluate
was
what that was. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. That was part of the bid. So talking about, yeah, your other question was talking about having the county maintain it versus a private firm. You know, that I can't answer that. You know, I don't know what the capabilities of the county are. Like I say, I did write a program for maintaining this throughout every year of this project. So it would just depend on how the county would want to do that. And I know you said that the director of maintenance is on the line here also. So that might be a better question to have them, or maybe have meetings about what it is. But I just want to point out that the maintaining this throughout the years is what's going to make this project a full success, either by the county and or a private contractor.
Thank you. And my last question to you
I have
is, what would the
answers
maturity?
for you, ma'am.
What would it take? How long would it take for the maturity of the project? So we're looking at 5 years, 7 years for the
But
landscape.
I believe you're going to see significant growth in the next 2 years. But the idea of this is that over the next, our lifetime, over the next, 25, 50 years, you're going to continue to see this mature. And there's trees that we have in here, that have lifespans of 100 years. So, this is, like I say, a growing and living environment. And it's on the interstate, a very harsh environment also. But the opportunity with the correct maintenance is for this to last, over the next 50 years.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I yield the floor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Carpenter. I believe Keith Howard wanted to respond to your question. Director
Yes.
Howard, you have the floor.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, ma'am. So we have the maintenance scope of work already sent out. It's gone through purchasing and should be going out for bid as we speak. So I can tell you we have allotted in this budget $300,000 a year, and I haven't seen a estimate that was over that. Or really, it's been under about 200, 250. So it gives us a little bit of room. But yes, we have everything all inclusive: trees, shrubs, fertilization, mulching, weed control. Everything that's been put in, we have covered under this scope of work. And as soon as I get some bids, I'll bring it to the board, and y'all let me know which one you want to go with. Off to the races we are. Any other questions? Did I answer all your questions? Sorry.
Commissioner Carpenter, Director.
You did, Mr. Coward, and so it's good. I guess it's clear to say that this will be done with professional services, so that the county will be able to budget accordingly, and those costs will be controlled. And that $250,000 or $300,000, that's per year, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I yield, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Carpenter. Any other discussion, board? Vice Chairman Robinson, you have the floor.
All right, thanks for letting me in. All right, Mr. Ray, for those who are of us colorblind, I'm glad you told me that. So now I know the difference as I envision going down the street, the difference between the purple and the red. But we're good, it's nothing but love. We're good. Appreciate you, though. Looking out for
Yes,
Mr. Robinson. Good that. All right, so again, I'm just going to dovetail them back to Madam Carson, Commissioner Third District's comments about professional services. You're primarily an engineering firm. You're working on landscaping, coming up with a design. You extended over to some other services on our behalf to facilitate a bid. So you went above and beyond. Your contract was framed in such a way that it didn't stay within the context of traditional. No need to respond. I'm making a point. I'm educated. Second point is $400,000. I heard $300,250. Last time we talked about this is about beautification, and I'm glad this is important. We're talking about what 4 or 5 exits on the highway. It's going to cost us $250,000 to $300,000 to maintain. Now I get the intensity of shrubbery and all the beauty and stuff. Now, but the rest of the county, this is the point where staff make a note. It costs me $400,000, $300,000. They say $300,000 for this alone. 5 acres. And we've been talking about maintaining this county, cutting the trash and cutting the grass. We're supposed to be at $1 million. Mr. Mickey reminds me about 4 years ago. I need this to be marked in this year's budget. The cost of maintenance, right? Because it gets sloppy. Things dry up, they die. We do it for a moment, and you got to be committed to this, right? And but it's maintenance. Our reasonable service is pick up the trash, like your house, cut the grass. But we don't budget for it. We sort of overlook it, and we think it's going to get done through volunteers out there and doing things like, no, guys, this is a moderate, almost a large size county. Act like it. Budget for it accordingly. So, Madam Chair, I ask that Director Miller put this on the list, something to come back to maintain this. Put this on Madam Chair's tab. A budget that is sufficient to maintain the broader county as well as this right here. Because again, we sort of try to be slick about it. We want to see what it is. And guys, if it's story, it's story. Yes. But what you don't want to do is let all this beauty that you just sort of shown us over this drone and this footage and this imagery, and it sits there and it, as I want to call it, it dries up. And that's not going to be a good look for the county. That we took this money on the front side, we applied it, but we weren't committed. And we get caught for what I call political moments. Look at us, look at us. But we weren't committed. We did for a political reason versus a true commitment to it. And there's a difference, and history will prove us out. Madam Chair, I yield for it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner. And I just saw just a little note made that has been typed in on the screen. It says there's quite a bit of trash throughout the county. And let me please allow me to apologize to the citizens of Douglas County. We are in the process of certainly I'm working with Howard and our Deputy County Administrator, and we are looking at a company to support us with picking up the trash along the road. Certainly, we've had inmate support in the past, but because of the pandemic, it was just, well, first of all, the inmates were had to really be secured and isolated in the jail. So that was, we lost that support. And then along the way, we tried to find other vendors or contractors to support us. And at one point, this is the year of the Great Resignation. We just couldn't find anybody, but help is on its way. I want to assure you that trash is making me tired and nervous, but I believe this too shall pass. So just give us a moment and the trash will be up. So again, my deepest apologies. And I know on behalf of the board as well, they're apologetic. It's just, it's nerve-wracking. I see it, but believe me, help is on its way. So thank you. All right, Board of Commissioners, if we don't have anything else, thank you so much, Mr. Ray, for your presentation. It was immaculate. Again, I agree with our board. You know, we have, it's beautiful today, but without that maintenance, it would dry up tomorrow. So we do have a plan in place, and you said it'll live 100 years. So this board has given birth to something, but really this is historical. We've never had any landscaping here. So we want to, certainly we've set standards where others will be judged. And we want to make sure that this is maintained for the next 100 years. So thank you.
I appreciate the opportunity that the board has afforded HRC. Look forward to working with you guys on additional projects throughout the county in the future. Thanks again.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, next, Board of Commissioners, we have an update, SPLOST update. So we have David Good, and then of course, Terry Gables is with him as well. So Mr. Good, you do have the floor, and good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and thank you. Good morning, District Commissioners, stakeholders, and citizens of Douglas County. Again, I'm David Good. I'm going to bring you SPOS updates, revenue from under collected in January, and then work through February. And then again, we're going to first start off with the agenda, and we'll be talking about projects that are ongoing, as well as, again, how well our financials are doing. Next slide, please, Rick. Okay, and as you see, these are our project areas: fire, EMS, transportation, and parks projects. Every now and then, I like to let the citizens know where our projects are going. So again, fire, EMS, transportation, and parks. Next slide, please, Rick. Our financials again remain strong. January's revenue is $2,600,165, and that's about almost $530,000 over original projections, and around $320,000 over what was collected that time last year. The total revenues for April, from the beginning of the project, which was April 2017 until January 2022, is $132,855,063, and that's about $14.8 million over our original projection. Next slide, Rick. This is actually the full yearly total going from February of last year until January of this year, and I believe that total collected is a little bit over $32.4 million. Again, this is a slide for a full year. Next slide, please. So, of all the projects that we have over 33 active projects, but this is one of the projects that actually is completed. We took delivery of the 2020 ambulance at a cost of $223,699, and it was delivered back in January. Next slide, please. And this is actually a picture of that ambulance right when it went into service. They call it Med 8. So again, we had this celebration back in the February, I believe, and Madam Chair was there for it, and she went out on this first call. And thank you to Chief Jolivet for allowing me to speak at this event. Please, next slide. These are a couple of projects that we have ongoing. As you guys know, the Board of Commissioners decided for safety reasons that we were going to put street lights along the freeway, along with 6 and other places within the county. So right now, Georgia Power should begin work on the I-20 Post Road this month. So we were waiting on the GDOT to sign the permit, so this is what's ongoing. And we also have Greystone working on the SR 166 at Cat's Ferry Road, and SR 166 at Post Road, and Calvin Mill Road, Mason Creek Road. All these areas will get street lights. And one of the largest projects that we actually will have in our spots now is the Lee Road widening for all the citizens that have gone up and down the freeway or have exited Lee Road. You do see a sign that says this work has completed. So this will be from right south of the I-20 bridge on Lee Road, going south until you get to SR 92. And that's where the widening is going to happen. The total cost is $23,941,000. $10 million of that comes from the county SPOS, and the rest will come from the state. Next slide, please. This is also another project. We have the Maxwell Road sidewalk. It's really a two-part program, I would say. This part is from the SPOS, $643,535. They've gotten a notice to proceed to the Corvette Group. It's a minority firm right here in Douglas County, and they have started. And the other project was, of course, where Maxwell Road connected with SR 6 Thornton Road. That's the GDOT project, and our project was the sidewalk portion of it. Next slide, please. And with that, I would turn it back over to you, Madam Chair, for any questions and comments. I have Terry Gable with us. And then also from our last meeting back in February, you and Commissioner and Vice Chair Robinson asked for a baseline of projects that you wanted me to look at. So if you wanted me to present that, I can do that after the questions and answers.
Absolutely. Let's first yield the floor to the board to see if they have any questions regarding the initial presentation, and then certainly we can move on to the second part.
Okay.
Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions for Vice Robinson? I see you.
Yep. All right. We'll be quick. Again, one thing that's again for the public, this SPOS has been above reproach. Thank you to the program oversight of the Moreland / AJ Russell, now Atlas / AJ Russell. One thing that, this is important, that is the unsung heroes, the guys like Terry and David, and I always forget the young ladies from Russell's name. What's her name, David?
Elena Thompson.
Elena Thompson, that are actually keeping up with the schedules. You got 33 simultaneous projects. They know exactly where they are at any given time, at any given moment. Right? This project is the size of our budget. We say 130, and I know it's over time to get the content. It's active. And we have the model, hint, to our staff who look at what's already amongst us. Replicate that right there. Don't make this difficult. That's this thing has been, I'm just sitting back and looking at this. Look at this coming in. It's smooth. We know the money. We know where we're at. We know the status. Let's do this internally. Let's do it with that federal money. Now, this is to the local citizens. We, in essence, we went and outsourced someone to run that extra payment. And we've been accountable and transparent and communicated for 5 straight years. Rolled. Did not miss one payment. As a matter of fact, next month, we'll make our last payment on the bond. Paid for, done. The rest of you ride in the house. But that was through a discipline. It was a methodology. It was program oversight. We'll hear more about this in soon. And because we're not playing with this. Compliance is important. Compliance is one thing to say it, it's another to deliver it and be compliant. All right, so I made that point. So what I heard, 2.6 million, David?
Yes.
$2.6 million for the month, and I got it $32 million for the year, $32 million for this year, 12 months since February of last year, and so it's steady.
Yes.
It is a steady, and so I wanted to come back to just one question. And Miguel, where are you? Miguel, you out there?
I'm here.
All right, just for the Lee Road, and just let me take this one, David. For Lee Road, have we begun to clear? I know the answer, but for the public answer, where do we stand on Lee Road itself?
Yes, Commissioner, the project has started. Clearing of the right-of-way has been ongoing for the last week or so. So the project is underway.
So we are moving. So it's going to be a little congestion, and to which obviously, that's a tight corridor, and it's definitely a cut through for a lot of people. But nonetheless, it will be beneficial once it's said and done. And so one more time for the record, since it started about a week ago, how long can we think that we're going to experience this?
The project is slated to play out over 2 years. However, during the entire time, the road will remain open to traffic. Obviously, from time to time, there's going to be a need to perhaps close down a lane temporarily, but traffic will be routed around that construction. So 2 years, but the road fully open during the entire time, except for minor situations where they have to cut the road open or work close to the edge of the road. The rest of the time, the road will be fully open.
It's to be fully open beyond the man with a little sign that turns stop, slow, go, move, and stuff, go around. You will notify if you ever have to shut down that road. Is that true?
That is correct.
All right, last question then, and I just want to clarify. I think he said it was $123 million. One more time, can you break down the components of the funding for that? Just clarify for me.
Yes, it's close to 24 million overall. There's a little over 14 million from the federal government, federal and state, and 10 million from SPLOST. So that's the
Federal and state. Got it. Very good. Thank you for that clarity. And again, advocacy is important. Advocacy. There's one thing to write something. There's another good stuff done. And for the citizens who made this apparent that about congestion on Lee Road and this impact, and to the full board of commissioners for the need for that sub-arterial passage and stuff. This is your county government at work. We do listen as opposed to talk. We get stuff done. We appropriate. We get the three. We get the votes, and that's what matters. It's your receipts to show what have you done for the citizens. So. To my citizens, it's going to take 2 years. Obviously, this impacts 3 commission districts, ultimately 4. Commissioner Mitchell to the north, Commissioner Carson obviously further south, going back soon around, and obviously we're going to get to the Bright Star, ultimately impacting I-20 on that side. So this is going to be long beyond my being here, but at least I want to start off right, and you guys are doing a great job, and it's been a long time coming. But thank you so much for your work. Thank you, David. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Miguel. And I'm sure I yield. Thank you.
I have a conversation by myself. Thank you so
I
much.
yield. Thank you, I'm sure. Yes,
Okay. Any other comments for before we move on? Okay, well, to your second segment of your presentation. Any other questions?
I'm going to share my screen, and this is really based upon communication from the Board of Commissioners. You guys wanting to at least see a list that's coming down. See how I'm going to do this.
The capital projects unfunded, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
First is up is the administration building, and this is all information that I've been privy to, as far as hearing information just from leadership and the Board of Commissioners. The building side, you have the Chapel Hill Library, new administration building, annex building on government complex. Then on the renovation side is the courthouse renovations for judicial use, fire headquarters, the museum and gallery, and that's if all staff move out of that building going into either the complex or into the new administration building. Renovations to Selman Library and building improvements, just for any other government buildings that we have in the next up is the Parks and Rec. Had a conversation with Director Dukes, and also there's some things that was on the reforecast list that it only has design components to it. So we have the Deer Lick Park rebuild, and that's going to be based on conceptual design. That's one of the things that Parks and Rec approved for them to do the conceptual design work. After the conceptual design work, you would need to then do the rebuild for both Deer Lick and Winston Park. The comprehensive master plan that'll be for all parks. The Dog River Park Nature Center and the Pumpkin Town Nature Preserve. It's a senior center at Dog River, the construction of that. Vehicles and equipment, about $500,000 a year. A new county park, tennis courts throughout the county, spray pads over the Clinton Nature Clinton, and then also behind the aquatic center at Boundary Waters. A joint venture with the Water and Sewer Authority for projects on their property, on the WSA property, and then a new multi-purpose center as a county of our size should actually have more than one. Thinking about it, last year we didn't have any, so hopefully we'll be able to get to another one. Next up is from the Sheriff's Office. Spoke to the Chief Deputy Kenneth Connor, and this is something that I believe was even mentioned in the last meeting. Is they have an entire fleet that needs to be replaced over a 6-year or 7-year period, depends on how you guys want to do that. Then doing a yearly replacement of at least five vehicles. That's based because enforcement actions and accidents. To replace the Black Creek Jail security system, the construction of precision driving course that could be utilized by all departments that have vehicles, replacement of the command center vehicle. Current vehicle is from 2007. Police station renovations, and then code enforcement and coroner assessment. So if there's anything that needs to be assessed from their departments or their areas, we could do so. Last up is GDOT. I believe at the end of last year, there was a CTP, the Capital Transportation Plan. There's a short term to 2030. They call that Tier 1 and Tier 2 on the actual CTP plan, which is on the county's website. And the priorities start with those projects that have design engineering through the 2016 SPLOST. The construction side still needs to be taken care of. Resurfacing of the 33 to 35 miles that actually was something that was talked about through the CTP. That was their recommendation. as well as subdivision resurfacing throughout the county. The Board of Commissioners has been pushing that as something that needs to be done. The widening of Chapel Hill, the construction phase, this current SPLOST is actually taking care of the design part and the right of way, but the construction still needs to happen. We're still hoping that might be taking care of the current SPLOST, but we'll see how that goes. Then a Lee Road project, the South Douglas Lee Road extension, the construction phase of that, and then the Lee Road widening phase 1 on the north side of I-20 right past Vulcan Road, so from Vulcan Road to US 78. And then economic development, which is always big to actually push our population to go forward. Regional infrastructure, the Chattahoochee Hill Trail System right of way and construction, and then bike lanes for trails and pedestrian arteries. And this is also the other side of these are the intersection improvements. Most of these were on the SPLOST list as far as design and engineering. So all of these would actually be throughout the construction phase, and this is throughout the county. So just like we do in the lighting of counties, we also have to be able to take care of the intersections. And then the CTP mentions quite a few of them that would go from 2022 to 2031, I believe. And then we have the sidewalk and bridge program, Bright Star Road Bridge over I-20, the Bright Star Road from Callan Mill Road to Douglas Boulevard construction phase, because design engineers happening through the SPLOST, and then other sidewalks and bridges mentioned in the CTP. And with that, Madam Chair, that's the end of my presentation for that.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll take any questions.
Any questions, board? Okay. Vice Chair, did you have something?
Yes, yeah, thank you, Mr. Good. That is something that we did ask for, which is what is the aggregate of things that we've heard be put on a list, whether it's administrative who put on a list or whether it's the commissioner. No voice should ever be marginalized. No vote should not be counted. And so I'm missing a couple of votes. So let me make sure I got this right. So where's the transfer station and where's that fleet building that burned down? I didn't hear those. Not saying that you didn't put them on there. It's not that you didn't say it. I just know that in my spirit, the transfer station is something that has been talked about. It is something that's active, something we'll see in an independent committee meeting. So that's something to please add that to the list of things that has been talked about. Not that we're committed as a board, but it needs to still, there's nothing that prohibits discussion by any commissioner. So transfer station. Second one was obviously the fleet building that burned down. Recall we had some insurance money. We chose to do it in a different way to handle that. And I want to make sure that that building is replenished. I know we've got an interim play as far as how we're handling it, but I still want accounting for the money that goes for that project. So that's the second one, David. Fleet building and transfer station. I think that was it. I mean, this is not me. I'm not trying to add anything to the list or insert new things. I think you accomplished what we needed, was just put out there what is the capital list that's currently to date as we come to the end of this SPLOST, and for the things that didn't make the cut. I mean, what I'm hearing out of that list is like, okay, guys, it didn't make it this round. It's not going to be completed. So that's really what this is about. Like something, no, that's about it now. Let's not be delusional about what we think is going to get accomplished. Like, okay, this round is over. So it's like they call it the last call, and that's about it now. That's all we got to do. And we did a great job at the point. So again, thank you so much for that, Madam Chair. I just want to bring home that point. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Also, Mr. Good, I didn't see anything related to the coroner's new office or building. Maybe that money is already allocated somewhere.
Yes, in fact, on my list under, I believe it was public safety, I did mention the assessment for the coroner and code enforcement. So if that's something that's going to be down, I'll make sure at least I add that to the list. And as discussions keep on going, we'll keep on adding to the list.
Thank you. All right, board. If there are no, very good presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Is Mr. Gable on the line? I didn't know if you wanted to make a comment with you, Mr. Good. There you go. Do you have a comment?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you. No, not unless there's any questions. Again, Commissioner Robinson's been mentioning the these. And I do want to, a lot of we have made some good accomplishments, and it's been a great 5 years. But a lot of it is teamwork with the county. Of course, working with staff has been, I think, a big part of the success. But I didn't want to highlight that. And no, I'm good. David did a good job this morning, and I look forward to next month.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And we appreciate everything that you're doing to make this loss a success. Thank you. All right, Board of Commissioners, if there are no further comments, we're going to move on to our next item. Board of Commissioners, certainly, I mentioned the minutes, and certainly we will review those, and we will approve accordingly tomorrow. But we have a Deputy County Administrator here this morning. I asked him to just give you a briefing regarding the new orders from Judge McLean, and then just run some of the things that I'm proposing that we do for our new measures here in the courthouse, and also abroad, and meeting all our county government buildings. And he's going to capture things related to employees and buildings. With no further ado, we have our Deputy County Administrator, Fred Perry. You have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and good morning, Board of Commissioners, staff, to the Assistant County Administrator, Tiffany Stewart-Stanley. I hope that everybody is well. Madam Chair, as you mentioned, I would like to talk briefly about the new orders that have come down from our Chief Judge. As you recall, back in January of this year, I sent an email to the Board of Commissioners in regards to the county reverting back to Phase 1 protocols due to the COVID-19 virus, and our numbers here locally were going in the wrong direction. So we reverted back to our Phase 1 protocols. And since then, thankfully, 3 months later, we find ourselves in a much better position. Our numbers are in the medium range as far as COVID transmission is concerned. And it has prompted our Chief Judge to submit a revised order of the court. And if everyone does not have a copy of that revised order, I would suggest that I can send out a copy of that, if that would be your will, Madam Chair. And just briefly, some of the items that the Chief Judge mentions within his order that will be a change from the previous order was that there will be no requirement for temperature checks upon entry to the courthouse, that masks are optional to enter the courthouse as well. Elected officials and department heads will continue to have the discretion to require masks within or outside of their office space. Social distancing requirements have been reduced from 6 feet to 3 feet, and the respective judicial officers are also encouraged to continue proceedings by video conference when possible. The Chief Judge states that this is consistent with CDC guidelines, with Cobb Douglas Public Health, and with our numbers here locally with regard to COVID-19 transmissions moving in a favorable direction. Madam Chair, as you mentioned, there are some recommendations I'd like to put forward to the Board of Commissioners per our conversation, is that we follow and be in line with the Chief Judge in reference to all the things that I just mentioned, which means that we can actually collect the temperature check monitors that we have throughout the county and put those in a safe place just in case. Hopefully we won't need them anymore. But we will continue to hold on to those monitors. I would suggest, or just a few recommendations that I have, that being one of them. I would also recommend that we maintain a hybrid work model that we currently have in place. That is, from what I've heard and what I've seen, there has been no break in service with our employees maintaining a hybrid work schedule, meaning that they are teleworking some days during the week, and then other days they are here on site. I would also recommend that that all government buildings, that to include the jail, the courthouse, all fire stations, public bathrooms, etc., be continued to be go under the GeoMister system and be cleaned on a regular basis. Highly disinfected. That's our highly disinfected mechanism that we utilize to make sure that that we are properly cleaning our facilities to avoid any recurrence of any COVID-19 outbreaks. I recommend that all employees that have underlying health conditions continue to wear masks in public and within the courthouse as necessary. Again, I state that the temperature checked kiosks will be collected and stored in a safe place. Let me see here, that we continue to observe 3 W's as you stated time and time again, Madam Chair. Those would be my recommendations to the Board of Commissioners, and this is again based off of the new orders that have been passed down from the Chief Judge dated March 3rd of 2022. Madam Chair, that is my presentation in summary, and I'm able to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much, Deputy County Administrator. Board Commissioners, before I yield the questions, let me also say that there were some specifications regarding our fire and EMS. That particular, those employees will continue, particularly when you're providing patient care. You will still have your full PPE. You will utilize your full personal protective equipment, such as masks, respirators, and things like that. I know the chief is probably on the line and can speak to why we have to maintain our resilience in that area, because we're providing direct patient care. So you will not see a huge change in our ambulance services and when we're rendering care, and also with the coroner's office, they will still continue to have heightened precautions as they deal with our deceased patients or citizens as well. So, Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions this morning regarding these proposals? Yes, Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I've got one general question. All right, so the Board of Commissioners, by state law, and as historically even in the U.S. Constitution, not to provide a burden for the citizens to have access to us. They never envision, obviously, technology to a certain extent, but there's a merit behind they need to have access to look us eyeball to eyeball. I get the convenience of what technology means, but it's not like being there to citizens. And so when will the Board of Commissioners, which is we're required to show up at 4 meetings per month by law, when will we come back? And can the lawyer, the county attorney around, sort of weigh in on that? And when does this national mandate end? I mean, I get Chief Judge and what he meant regarding the courthouse. But then we also had this overlay of sort of, executive authority. Is the Board of Commissioners still under executive mandate, or are we back to normal? So that's part I want to get answered. 2 parts. When does the board itself, not staff, I mean, we've got to be there, we're there, but the Board of Commissioners regarding work session and voting meeting, that's one question. And secondly, this national mandate or state mandate by either the president or the governor, is the Board of Commissioners, or are we still operating under executive authority, which is rendered through Madam Chair? And so I want to answer those 2 questions. Take them in any order you choose to. Thank you.
Okay, we have it, and actually we have some proposals regarding the BOC. Do you have that on there, Fred, on this?
I do. Vice Chair, I would like to recommend that the Board of Commissioners legislative voting meetings commence in person with the second meeting in April. I would also like to recommend that the joint BOC and planning and zoning meetings resume in person in May of 2022. Work sessions and BOC committee meetings will remain virtual until further notice. This is just moving along cautiously, and hopefully within by late May, early June, we can continue, excuse me, or we can open the doors fully and go back to a full in-person operation like we've been accustomed to prior to the pandemic. Now, as far as the national mandate, I will yield to Attorney Coleman.
Yeah, and so since I still have this floor, I want to make sure. So as you respond, I want the questions still answered. I get what you recommended.
Yes, sir.
But I want to understand, how does that fall in the context of the law? So county attorney, weigh in. In other words, if it says that we got to go back, we're going to go back. And I appreciate the recommendation, but I need the attorney to weigh in on this. I don't want anybody calling us out that we're not making ourselves accessible for convenience sake. We're in political season, and I'm not playing with this. County attorney, please weigh in.
Pursuant to the Georgia Open Meetings Act, the board is authorized to conduct virtual meetings during, quote, emergency conditions, end quote. Emergency conditions include declarations of federal, state, or local states of emergency. And that provision of the Open Meetings Act has been incorporated into the county's Board of Ordinances. There have been a series of emergency declarations by the federal, state, and at the local level over the last couple of years. The current state is that on February 18th, the president extended the previous declaration of emergency. That declaration is still in effect. Thus, based on the fact that there is a declaration of emergency that is in place, the board has the right to continue to conduct virtual meetings, but it's not required to conduct virtual meetings. So in essence, as I understand and read the law, it is the board's option at this point as to whether it could continue virtual meetings or return live. So that's my assessment.
Got it. Can I share one final? Did the president declare an end date, like at the end of May or end of June, or did he just say we're just in a state of emergency? What was his literal order?
It's in a state of emergency. There's no end date stated in the order. However, I think typically they expire a year after unless some further action is taken. So he could always lift it at some point, which he may well do, given how the trend of things. But that's at this point there's no end date stated.
Okay. All right. No, thank you for that clarity. So it sounds like it's up to the board, that the board will determine when it comes back. So I guess I'm going to be quiet for a minute and I get the recommendation. I'm going to yield, Madam Chair. I pushed out what I wanted to do to allow an inclusive conversation. So I yield the floor, Madam Chair. I'm good. I heard what I need to hear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Commissioner Guider.
Just my personal opinion, I think it's time that we get back to normal. I agree with Commissioner Robinson that even though we have the technology for them to speak their piece, I think they need to be one-on-one and come before us. I think they would feel more comfortable. But there's all kinds of activities. There's the board, the Chamber of Commerce has their dinners. There was a kind of a ball or whatever a couple of months ago. So, nobody's really worried about catching something. They've already said that masks don't work anyway. We have plexiglass between each commissioner. Nobody's sitting on the front row. I think as long as we maintain that 3 feet distance, everything would be okay. Time to get back to normal. Thank you.
And we understand that, Commissioner. In fact, we just put a date out there for a proposal, which is the second meeting in April. This is our second meeting in March. Certainly, you all could go forth in April 1st, but I've already had conversations with our vice chair. I will not be available for that meeting, so he certainly can run it, and y'all can move forward. So we could take our date or push our date, proposed date up to April, I believe April 4th is the meeting. So we understand that we need to get back, but I want to remind you that England is closing down again. So again, this virus controls us. We don't control it. So I want to make that very clear. But again, I'm doing all I can to restore as much normalcy as possible. So we are moving full steam ahead at the same time, trying to do two things: conduct the business of the county, and then keep our citizens and this Board of Commissioners safe. So April 1st, if that's what the board want to do, or April 4th, if y'all want to come back, that meeting will be conducted by our Vice Chairman Robinson, both work session and the meeting. But again, I still recommend those work sessions be virtual at this time. That's just my personal recommendation. Our work sessions and our committee meetings continue to remain virtual, but certainly it's up to the will of this board.
Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Carpenter, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the recommendation coming from you and Director Perry. I suggest that we stick with that. It seems reasonable. We do know that masks, N95 masks do work. They have curbed the spread along with the vaccinations and the booster shots. So we just want to keep with science and not with our own opinions. However, I will ask that we continue to do our part in the guidelines that have been put forth by Judge Bo McLean in regards to what he would like for the courthouse, that we do abide by those and we follow those and we keep the CDC recommendations. But as far as what you and Director Perry have put forth, I think that timeline is reasonable. And yet alone, we do have our president, or our former president, rather, Barack Obama, who just contracted the COVID disease. Although he's doing well, it still is out there. It has not left us. So we still have to be cautious and just keep our diligence about it. So again, I concur with what you all have put forward. Thank you.
Any other comments, board? We certainly won't utilize this whole meeting to discuss that, but if we'll send those suggestions out if you could, Director Perry, and if there's some discussion from the board or any type of opposition, they could discuss it with us one-on-one. But we're trying to get everybody back as soon as possible. April, again, like I said, this is our second meeting of March, so we're already halfway there.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
And then May 1st on the planning and zoning, to give everybody time, because I hadn't had an opportunity to speak to them, but May was the first meeting in May. So we'll just try to move the county full steam ahead, and then we could have some more discussions regarding the work sessions if you all want to come back, and we will just have to sit most likely in our the Citizens Hall, because that boardroom is rather tight. And I know the new measures from CDC is 3 feet. I don't know if all of us could sit 3 feet apart in that in the Board of Commissioners conference room without being on top of one another, particularly with our directors being involved. So we would, if you could, Director Perry, Deputy County Administrator, if you could look at a way that we can deploy our work sessions to maybe a larger venue, that would be great as well. Certainly want to hear the voices of all commissioners, but just want to make sure that we're accommodating this virus. And what we're doing, we're mitigating, not accommodating, but we want to mitigate this virus as best as possible and can still conduct the business of this county. All right, Board of Commissioners, if there's nothing else, we're going to move right into our agenda. Clerk, if you could read the first item. My phone has just died.
Yes, ma'am. This is a grant item. Item number 5, authorization to apply for 2021 Emergency Management Performance Grant in the amount of $39,721 from the Georgia Emergency Management Agency on behalf of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. And Mr. Milholland will be presenting this.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a yearly grant I bring to each year for we sometimes call this a performance agreement grant, and we if we meet certain requirements from GEMA, they'll give us money as long as it's allocated by the federal government. It's really a pass-through grant through FEMA. The last couple of years, it's been the amount of or 39,721 is actually the amount of the check. We have to match it, and we match it with my salary, so there's no budget impact. And this grant, we really, as emergency managers, try to let our elected officials at the federal level know how important this is, because it does say, because our budgets are usually smaller. We're kind of a coordinating agency, so these things really help us out. And I would appreciate if the board would approve us going forward with this and allowing us to get this money so we can keep doing great things with emergency management.
Thank you so much, Director Mulholland. Board of Commissioners, you have any questions for our Director? Okay, sounds good. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna move on to tab number, our first business item is tab number 6, authorization for the chairman to execute a part-time employment contract with the Savannah Acree as victim advocate with the Solicitor General's office. We have our Solicitor General here this morning, Sonia Compton. Are you on the line?
Chairman, I don't see her here.
Okay.
I did reach out to her this morning to make sure she had the invite, but I don't see her on here.
Is it anyone that can speak?
Double back with her.
Yeah, we'll come back. Lisa, if you could just call her and see if she could just come on. We're going to move on to tab number 7, board. Tab
Yes.
number 7 is authorization for the chairman to sign a car allowance agreement for Kevin McMurray with the district attorney's office effective March 14th, 2022. Name change only. Laura Thompson, Ms. Thompson, are you on the line?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Yes,
morning.
this is just an authorization. It is a name change only. It does not affect the budget at all. Our chief assistant district attorney is going to be the Superior Court judge, and so Kevin has been named chief assistant district attorney, and he will be receiving this car allowance.
Okay. Congratulations to both Kevin and then also to our new Superior Court judge.
Yes,
Deal Warren. That's big news.
it is. It's exciting.
Yeah. So, Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions for Ms. Thompson regarding this request, this budget neutral request?
Yes, ma'am. Just one issue, and I've brought this before to Deputy County Administrator Perry. Anytime we put items on the agenda, this is not to you, Ms. Thompson, but anytime we put items on the agenda, we do need to know the amount. That appropriation still needs to be documented.
Yeah, need to be made public. I agree.
Yes.
Lisa, do you have, by any chance, Clerk, do you have an idea what that allowance is, or even Ms. Thompson? So
I do. It's $5,200.
A year? Is that
Yes,
what you-
ma'am.
Okay. $5,200 a year. And you said it was the same as for the previous assistant?
Yes, ma'am. It is.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, any questions? Vice Chairman Robinson?
Yeah, I have no issues with the current request. And yes, congratulations to our new Superior Court judge and obviously the promotion of Mr. Murray. No problem. To Commissioner Carson's point in the 3rd District, I would like to get a copy going in tomorrow's vote of the current who gets car allowances. And what is at every level. I want to see like, okay, who gets 400, who gets 300, who gets 200. So show me the listing and who gets it. So show me the listing and who gets it. 2 separate things. Deputy, do you got that? A listing of everybody, and we probably need some help from Director Miller. And can we have that in our files tomorrow going into this vote, please?
I do have it, and you will have that, sir.
That's all I need. Madam Chair, you have the floor. Thank you.
All right, sounds good to me.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right. So,
Chairman, I believe Ms. Compton may be on the line now.
Okay. Are you there, Solicitor General? There you are.
Good morning, I am. Hello, everybody. Good morning.
And let me commend you. You're still masked up. You have your mask on the chin. That shows
You know that.
you're ready to go.
Yes.
It's fine.
Better safe than sorry.
I love it. You're speaking my language. Tab number 6 is authorization for the chairman to execute a part-time employment contract with Savannah Acree as victim advocate with the Solicitor General's office. Our Solicitor General, if you could just speak on behalf of this request.
Yes, Savannah Acree will be a victim advocate in our traffic division. to assist the traffic ASG, Assistant Solicitor General, legal assistant, and investigator. We've never had anyone before to do that. The other victim advocates were doing traffic along with their other duties. But now that we have a traffic unit, we needed a separate victim advocate. She will be working part-time. This lady interned with us while she was in school as a victim advocate and done an excellent job in that role. And she was selected to become a part-time victim advocate for traffic division. So I would authorize Madam Chair to sign the contract.
Okay. Any questions for?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Robinson.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Solicitor General. Just one general question again. I don't spend as much time as to do general government as to do judicial, but what's a victim advocate? Somebody who's never been on here before, and just from our own re-education, like what does that mean in the context of traffic, if you don't mind, ma'am?
Okay, well, a victim advocate is a person that advocates and help and assist victims of crime, let them know what's available. As far as a traffic unit, oftentimes the victim can be, if there's an auto accident, there's a victim if someone gets hurt. Of course, vehicular homicide cases, unfortunately, there is a victim. Let them know what is going on when we're having court dates. If they want to come and have a say-so, they do. We reach out to them and they can write letters as to their experience, what they're going through, if they need assistance with medical treatment. We can make referrals and things like that.
Gotcha. So a dedicated, I won't call it caseworker, but somebody who's dedicated, somebody who's been impacted. So, all right, I got it. I'm good.
Yes.
I understand. Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'm good. Thank you. I won't belabor this. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Okay. Commissioner Carpenter, you have the floor.
again, this item as well does not have the appropriation amount attached to it. Can we have that for
Tomorrow.
part-time employment contract? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we will make sure that information is available. Clerk, you may have it somewhere, either Solicitor General, do you have the amount?
The amount is $39,000.
Okay, and we will make sure I read that into the record tomorrow, 39,000, and certainly, or you hear this, but 39,000. All right.
Madam Chair,
Uh-huh.
just to Madam Carthen, that we're going to be tag teaming with the county clerk to make sure that any moving forward, that any amounts will be on the agenda, so we don't have to waste any time, during those amounts. So my apologies for not having those on there. We'll make sure moving forward that we do. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Carpenter, for bringing that to our attention. All right. If there are no questions for our Solicitor General, no further questions, we'll move on. Thank you so much, Solicitor.
All right, thank you all. You all have a good day.
Okay, you too. Board of Commissioners, we're going to move right on to tab number 8, authorization for the chairman to sign fiscal agent designation form for the Family Connections Partnership Grant for Douglas Corps. We have Director King. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Jones. Good morning to everyone. This is just the annual fiscal agent form that the county signs for the grant funding that funds Douglas Corps.
And we don't have a price on this either. So we need to, okay, we don't have a on the amount. Can you share that amount with us?
I sure can. Let me pull that up. It's not usually on the fiscal agent form.
Okay.
It is included in our, we sign the contract every year for the grant. The amount has not changed. Excuse me.
And it's just going forward. I know we haven't always listed the actual amount, but going forward, I just hear the voices of my colleagues that we want it on there. So that's no problem. We will take care of this discrepancy going forward.
It is $48,000.
Okay, good. Okay. All right. So Board of Commissioners, you have any questions for Ms. King, our Director King?
Yeah. Well, I'm checking.
Yes. You have the floor.
No, I understand. And again, this has been appointing the fiscal agent. I understand, and same grant. I understand the historical. But I wanted to make a point about the historical climate and culture in Douglas that it was intentional never to put the amounts. It was intentional not to bring to the attention of the public what was going on. One more time. So now you're seeing a shift that says, okay, about transparency. Well, just now you always say to me, well, just tell the public. Why are we going through this sleight of hand? Right? It was a culture. Right? You know it's required to put the money on there. And you should do it, but you chose this. You don't want to rattle it. That was a conversation internally. You don't want to rattle the public. You don't want to raise this thing. Okay, but it was a difference of views. I got it. I was in the minority, but I'm reminding the history that was his choice. I get it. But the point is now I can point to it being where I'm at. I didn't like that. Just tell the public. Let them be in on it. Let them see the amount versus this. Side of the hand. Just don't say anything. Just push on through. It's like the invisible rules. You got to pay attention to how votes were done. It's that season, right? No. So that's the only thing. It's about the transparency. Again, back to just let the public know. It's not necessarily, we're so inside sometimes we're believing our own smoke, but we're like, guys, we're there. Just tell the public where you're at, what you're working on, so they can just say, okay, all right, no problem, keep moving. But then it's one of those where, again, it's all free reign. It's free choice when you don't have nothing on there. When you hauled out. Like, what you up to? What you doing? So I think, I'm sure there's something here to Commissioner Carson's point that let's make it clear. Just not keep saying that we didn't ask this thing for 4, 5, 6 meetings to put that on there. We've asked for 4, 5, 6 meetings to ensure, and it seems like, okay, we're going to do it, but it's not consistent. So I'm just going to make this point. The declaration, Deputy, you said it will go forward and it will not happen again. Okay. Let this official meeting be recorded. Let's make sure we're always transparent to the public.
That's
Madam
correct.
Chair, thank you so much. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, if there are no questions for you, Director King, thank you so much for coming in this morning. I don't think we have any further questions. We're going to move to tab number 9, approval of change order number 5 on the contract with C.W. Matthews for construction of the Maxim Road, Thornton Road Congestion Mitigation Project P1001261 in the deductive amount of $59,677.05 and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents subject to final legal review. Director Valentine, you're bringing us some good news. I love the word deductive. You have the floor.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The project is essentially complete. We are going through the closeout documentation, and this final change order in the deductive amount of $59,607 is to balance out all the quantities. As you know, contracts have an estimated quantity of various elements, and as we go through construction, you may have a few more lineal feet of curb, a few less of sidewalk, etc. But as you're looking to close out the contract, you want to make sure that everything balances out, and that's what this change order will accomplish.
Any questions from the board regarding this change order? All right, thank you. Good job. Thank you so much, Director Valentine. All right, board, we're going to move on to tab number 10, which is our last item for the day. It is approval of a contract with Block Group Incorporation for license plate reading cameras in the amount of $80,250 and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents for the final review. Lieutenant Colonel Pounds, are you on the line?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, this is for the plot group. This is what this plot camera. What this is a license plate tag reading, and it helps us ID vehicles that are used in crimes. Also, let us know if the cars are stolen and gives us information on wanted people. So it's a total of 30 cameras at $2,500 each. and a $5,250 one-time installation fee. And it basically takes pictures of the tags as they go by, and it's going to put 30 more sets of eyes in the community to cut down on some of this crime.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel. Do you have any questions for Lieutenant Colonel? Vice Chairman Robinson, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, Lieutenant Colonel, if it's still morning, afternoon, but greetings either way. All right, so Scorpion Unit, Thorn Road, obviously, readers are important for everyone, wherever you guys are putting. Is this going in a certain area? Are we replacing the existing readers, or are we extending them to a new area? And I'm going to tell me the area. You don't have to tell me the area. I'm just asking generally.
we are actually, we already have 10, and they've been very successful. So with that success, we're putting them in other places. So that's in addition to what we already have.
You answered the question. We had 10, we added 30 more. Got it. All right, no problem. And so this has been successful. And so tell me about this organization. I did reach out. I did make a few phone calls on what this, who this group was. But tell me about why Flock and Flock, whoever they call them. Why those guys?
Flock, right now, I do believe they're the only ones that's doing this now throughout many of the law enforcement agencies around the state and the nation, and they have been very successful. It's helping us in investigations as far as putting people in the place of that crime at that time. So it's been very successful. And like I said, it's an extra 30 sets, an extra 30 eyes in the community that we can depend on that's coming in and out of the county at all times.
No, I got you, single source, and I won't compromise why you did it. Thank you for that. I just want to clarify what the framework was. Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions for it? All right, thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Board of Commissioners, we have our approval of our expenses tomorrow. I encourage you to review your expenses so we could be prepared to approve it tomorrow. So I want to not dismiss our commissioners' comments this morning. I believe Commissioner Carpenter, you wanted to certainly have a point of privilege to speak about a subject matter that's very important. I believe I read my email. Did you want to make an announcement or?
Madam Chair, did I send you something?
Yeah, maybe I read it wrong. There's a new position coming on or something. Maybe I misread the email. So, but anyway, do you have anything you want to add? This morning's part of our comments. Any other comments from the board? Okay, if we don't have any comments from our board members, certainly our attorney Coleman, do we need to go into executive session this morning?
No, Madam Chair, I don't have any items for executive session.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Madam Chair?
Thank you so much, Attorney Coleman. Vice Chairman Robinson.
I think the board would like to know the status of key open positions. So I think there's a personnel conversation we have briefly that we're all on the same page. It's up to the board if they want to even send that into executive session. But I think I'll leave it at that. You can put to the board if they want to go into executive session for a status on key personnel positions. And I don't care if they don't want to go. Leave it at that.
Board of Commissioners, is there a need? Would you like to go? Just hear some feedback into executive session to discuss, to receive an update on these key positions.
Yes, Madam Chair, I would.
Okay. Okay, so Commissioner Gardner. Okay, so yes, sounds like we need to go into executive session, attorney, for personnel matters. Okay.
Yes, Madam Chair. I agree.
Okay. Okay. Let me just assure our citizens we will return momentarily. Really appreciate you all today, and I want to just certainly give a shout out to Women's History Month here in Douglas County, and certainly want to acknowledge all women of Douglas County, and appreciate what you do and your amazing body of work. We absorb things that people don't realize, or should I say, things that we can't talk about sometimes as women. But again, just enjoy this month. And we have some things, some celebration that's coming down the pipe that we'll discuss, and I will make an announcement a little later. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. When I call your district, please respond accordingly. District 1.
Yes.
District 2.
Yes.
District 3.
Yes.
District 4.
Yes.
Chairman, yes, we have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries to go into executive session. Board of Commissioners is 11:40. We will begin our session. I'll give you a 5-minute break, and then we'll start at 11:45.
Awesome.
Alrighty, Madam Chair, you're back. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Sierra, and thank you to the citizens of Douglas County for your patience. Our executive session has ended, and we're back responsibly. Certainly, before we close out, just wanted to yield the floor to my fellow commissioners to see if they have any comments. If you don't have any comments, I just wanted to assure our citizens that we will be available tomorrow virtually for our Board of Commissioners legislative meeting, which starts exactly at 6 p.m. tomorrow. It will be again 6 p.m. on March 15th, 2022. And the Board of Commissioners will be available at 6 p.m. and it'll be our voting session. Are there any announcements from the board? If there are no announcements at this point in time, this meeting is adjourned. And have a nice day, and I look forward to seeing the citizens tomorrow as we engage in the business of this county. Have a good day.